We're on, ladies and gentlemen's, gentlewomen's.
Rock and roll,
ladies and
Daddy-o.
gentlemen, welcome to the Sean and Sax Show.
Welcome.
We're on, we're live, and today we're answering your questions.
Yes.
There's some good ones. There's some trolls.
I don't know that one's a troll.
That is a troll.
You think?
Okay, let's take a poll here. Even though none of you can respond to us right now, what I would like for you to do is in the comments, if you wouldn't mind, just let us know whether or not you think this is a troll. Now, this was a question that came to Saxony, and bless her heart. Bless her heart.
I still don't think it's a troll. Maybe I'm naive. I don't know.
You are, and that's okay. I'm not shaming you for it. However, you're being trolled.
Okay. Why don't you tell everyone what the question was?
I will. And then we'd love your guys' insights and for you to back me up on letting her know that she's being trolled. The question was, and this came to her, okay? Mm-hmm. This didn't come to me, came to her. The question was, quote, advice for a single guy in his 20s with an incurable STD.
I feel like that's a valid
That's a
question.
fucking troll, babe. That is a troll. That is a troll question.
What if this gentleman is
and the fact that we've been talking about him now, he's smiling, going, What
if he's actually...
I made it on the Sean and Sax Show. He's trolling
But
you.
what if he's actually a guy in his 20s struggling with how to be honest or to move through life with an incurable STD?
Number one, he's going to be following you. A guy in his 20s with an STD. He's going to, number one, be following you. But number two, he's then going to reach out for real, sincere advice. A dude in his 20s with an incurable STD is a fucking player. And number one, he's not following you. And if he is following you, maybe we should have a deeper question of why you have dudes in their 20s with STDs following you.
I have most people that follow me, I have no idea anything about them.
Babe, you've been trolled.
Okay.
So that one's not...
The voting begins now.
Yeah, go ahead and let us know, guys. Or you can just message Sax and just say, #trolled. It is really interesting.
We do see the world through very different lenses, and that's okay. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It is, but you really should kind of pay attention and know
there are people in the world with incurable STDs.
Sure.
And maybe it's a valid question for the Sean and Sax Show.
They're talking to doctors. Those people talk to professionals,
right? But not necessarily to do medically. But how do you?
What the
propose?
fuck?
I don't know.
Sean and Sax gonna say?
I don't know.
That. Oh yeah, what should you do? Go see a fucking doctor, dummy.
Well,
and
if it's incurable, means he has to proceed in life. In dating, he says he's single. Like, how do you approach that? I don't know.
Maybe you've been trolled.
Okay, the answer, if I was going to answer if this is not a
Christ.
troll,
Okay.
it's be honest.
This is what's crazy is I wanted to prove the fact you're being trolled. Now we're actually answering the fucking question.
Okay,
this fucking
how
guy
about
won.
The next question?
He won the lottery. Jesus Christ.
Well, we're having a good time.
Well, hey, you're already headed down the path. Answer the question, babe.
I just did.
What did you say?
I said just be honest. When you're dating, when you're approaching intimate relationships, be very honest.
Would you date a guy if he had an incurable STD?
I'm married, so it's irrelevant.
If you were single,
it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I'm married.
Trolled. Guys, thank you for your questions.
Whatever.
The first question was actually not going to be discussed. It was just going to be an exclamation point.
Sometimes we have to let the trolls come in for just a giggle.
It was kind of funny.
Yes.
Okay. Guys, thanks for your questions. We're going to just start knocking them off. We got a couple really good ones here.
We do.
There's some that are very average and some that are trolls.
According to Sean, you need to step up your game with your questions, y'all.
Okay. Before we get into this, let's talk about that for 1 second. Ask better questions, get better answers.
Oh, amen.
Period. End of story. Now, I understand, and hear me when I say this, I understand that your natural tendency is to ask very superficial, very 30,000-foot questions. Here's why. I'm not saying that to be a dick. I'm saying it because it's comfortable. It's safe, right? Okay. I was hanging out with Bobby Castro, who is a billionaire in Texas at Ryan Stewman's event, right? Now, I'm in a room with a bunch of dudes with Louis freaking bags and Gucci shoes and fucking Rolexes and Panerais and diamonds and bling, and half the dudes got a Ferrari key, the other half has a Lambo key, and the Maseratis. Like, I'm in a room of dudes, some of them successful, some of them want to be successful, whatever, right? It was a business conversation. And I'm looking at him, and his wife was there. And I mean, all of the questions were so basic. Oh, I'm trying to scale my company. What should I do? Oh, I'm trying to hire a good team. How should I hire a good team? Yeah. These are all like, to me, the most basic questions you could get, right? Sure. If I'm going to sit down with a billionaire, like, I want to know the deep shit. I want to know, how the fuck did you get where you are today, not in business, but as a man, as a father, as a patriarch, as a husband, right? And so everybody's asking these questions, blah, 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 blah. How do you scale? Hey, my partner's a dick. How do I buy him out? I mean, to me, these are just very rudimentary questions. Like, I wanted to know what he and his wife fought about. I was like, I wonder what these two fight about. I wonder what they argue about. How do you guys resolve conflict? And so I raised my hand, and in the middle of this whole thing, and Bobby's a cool cat. You know, he came up and gave me a big hug and was just super rad, really cool guy. And I raised my hand. I was like, hey man, like, what do you and your wife like fight about? What do you guys argue about? And how do you resolve conflict? And it was funny because everybody turned to look at me like, that's such an odd question. And Bobby started laughing. He's like, that's actually a really good fucking question.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So my point in this is that if you ask better questions, you're going to get better answers. And if you actually think about what you really want to know before you just fire something off, then you're probably going to get an answer that's actually going to help you in your life.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like imagine sitting down with Warren Buffett and you had one question to ask him, and your question was, how do I start a business? I could Google that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you had that one question to ask Warren Buffett, and maybe just we're not that important and people really don't give a shit and think about it, and that's fine too. That's just, you know, it is what it is. However, mental note, moving forward for human beings, I feel like if you took your time to ask us a question, you kind of want to know what we think about it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe that's just my ego. So,
and a lot of the questions were questions that we've answered in the past.
Which
so
is
if
okay.
Your question didn't get answered, just go listen to past.
Well, maybe they're new.
Let me finish. Hold on. If you haven't gotten the answer you wanted, go listen to past podcasts because the answers are there, and that's why we didn't select those questions.
I do find
for the record.
Sometimes I get frustrated with that, and that's my own shit that I have to deal with. Like, I'll answer the same question on Facebook like 600 fucking times. Somebody will ask a question, I'm like, yo, do you not know like my story or not? And I have to realize that somebody might have just started following me yesterday, and they come in and they don't know who the fuck I am, whatever. So something I'm working on. I need to figure that out. You know?
I love that.
Yeah. But
good.
More of the story, don't ask dumb fucking questions. Okay? Okay. You want me to just fire these off?
Take it off, babe.
Question number one. Our take on the woman making the first move. What's your take on the woman making the first move?
If that's how she's feeling, make it. Like, I've been known to be assertive if I want something, but I've also, like, I didn't make the first move with us. I don't really have an issue with a woman making the first move. I
think it's dope.
Yeah.
I think a woman that's got the lady balls to step up and actually say what she wants and whatever. You didn't make the first move, but you were without question. And hear me, like, guys on this and gals, you were without question the most assertive woman that I had ever had an engagement with, and I'd ever talked to, and I'd ever dated, flirted with. You were the most assertive. You were like, and maybe it was because you were just dealing with your own shit or whatever. You were like, here's the nights that I'm free. Here's the time windows that I'm free. Don't fuck around. This is the deal. You better show up, yada, yada, yada.
And I don't even think that's shit. That's because it's like, I needed to be very clear and concise with what I was available for and what I was interested in. And what I was interested in, because I didn't want to create any gray area.
So you had a busy dating schedule. I
had a very
busy dating schedule. So you tried to fit me in.
Jeez.
I don't think there's any issues with a woman, quote unquote, making the first move. I'm old school. I say please and thank you and sir and ma'am and open the doors and believe in, you know, the honor and the chivalry of relationships. But I think it's kind of hot.
Yeah.
It's kind of flirty. It's kind of seductive if like a woman's like, hey man, what's up? And let me say something to that too. There's number one, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I actually find that very appealing. I find that very flirty. Like when I'll give you a case in point, like since we're married, like when you're messaging me or sending me a picture during the day and you're like, hey, I want this when you come home, you know, and it's a picture of your ass or your boobs or whatever, and you're like, yo, when you come home, fuck me. I'm like, yes, ma'am, done and done. You know what I'm saying? And that's very much if you will, making the first move. But I also think that says a lot. It's going to, and ladies, this is probably more for you than anything, it'll really like weed out. Maybe weed out's not the right word.
Oh, and it's weed out.
It will weed out
Yeah.
the pussies.
It's weed out.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're assertive and you tell a man what you want and he plays around with you or he fucks around with, well, that's just kidding. No. If you want to really know how much a man respects you, tell him what you really want. Tell him where you're really at. You know what I mean? Because that a man who's truly genuinely interested in you, like you were pretty hard up. You were like, well, I shouldn't say hard up. Sorry, you weren't hard up. You were pretty hardcore with like your schedules. You were pretty hard up. Like you were like, please come take me out Wednesday night at 6 p.m. You were hardcore. Like you were straight up. Like, yo, this is the only night next week that I'm free.
And if you didn't show up,
yeah, that was it.
That was it.
Yeah, I definitely think that there is an open space and a real powerful place for a woman to like say exactly what the fuck she wants, and a man of honor, a man of integrity will honor that, in my opinion.
And I mean, with us, like with the first kiss, for instance, like I would have made the first move, but I was enjoying this dance because we postponed physical intimacy for so long that I wasn't really intrigued.
You thought I was gay.
No, I did not think you were gay. That was not what was on my mind. But I was really interested in that, and so I just kind of didn't want to be assertive in that department.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, say, initiating sex, I bet more often than not I'm the initiator, and it's not out of. It's just, I don't know, like I just like to be that way. I like to be very confident. And there's a difference energetically between being confident and being like pushy and bossy.
Right.
So I'm still very feminine in being assertive.
Right.
It's just, it comes from confidence.
Well, sending a picture in the middle of the day, with your ass hanging out and, sex toys and things like that, that's pretty assertive.
That's
and
pretty
confident.
assertive.
Yeah. Good job, babe.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Keep those pictures coming.
You are welcome.
Okay. Question number 2. How to move forward and build trust after it's been broken and damaged. How to move forward. How to move forward and build trust after it's been broken and damaged. What do you think?
You just have to make the decision too.
Right.
I watched something yesterday on Instagram or Reddit about how it's not the person or the thing we're attached to, it's the story.
Mm-hmm.
And we get so connected to stories because our life is just made up of a bunch of stories. And so unless we choose to write a new story, and I can speak from experience on this, like when you and I were struggling, I was so fixated on, because I was so frustrated. Honestly, I was human. I was so fixated on the lack and the stress of it. And I finally realized, I'm like, you're feeding yourself your own misery, Sax. And I changed my perspective. I was like, do I want to be married? The answer is yes. I want this marriage. I want this happy union. So why am I it almost looked like a court case. Like I am the prosecutor and I'm the defense. But the ultimate goal is that I want to be married. So why am I building this prosecutor's case so well that I'm freaking attacking my own defense for what I want? And this visually helped. I was so in sway. That's what it was. I'm like, I pictured all this and I'm like, I'm making the decision to build this prosecutor's case against my own freaking happiness. That's ludicrous, but people do it. To me, it's like you have to just make the decision that that's what you want and bury the hatchet and move on for your own well-being, your own heart, your own future. Like otherwise, get out of it.
Yeah. If you can't do that, I agree 1,000%. I did the same thing. I think that deep down, and there's another question that we'll get to in a minute about like our struggle and where we were at. I was doing the exact same thing. And I kept coming back to the same question over and over and over, which I've asked 1,000 people and continue to ask, which is, what do you want? And ultimately, I wanted to be married. I didn't want to be divorced. I didn't want to go through this shit. So it was like, okay, if that's the case, then what do you have to do? Because your part, because I can't do anything. Like I can't make you show up. I had to radically alter things for me, right? And there's a truth in some people just can't get over it.
Yeah.
And I think there's two ways to look at that. Number one, what is it that's keeping you from changing your thought process, and what do you have to do that? Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of people, I got asked a question the other day, hey, I was talking to my girlfriend and found out that she'd slept with like 30 something guys in her life and blah, 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 blah. And it's mind fucking me. I'm like, okay, well, how many girls have you fucked? And he was like, well, that's not really relevant. I was like, it's exactly relevant. It's exactly relevant. Like
apples and apples, my friend.
We expect to be forgiven all the time. We expect to have grace. We expect our partner to have empathy with us. Yet we are hardcore closers and killers on our story.
Yeah.
I just dropped a little Ryan Stewman in there, hardcore closer.
Plug.
We're like a hardcore freaking killer with our own stories. And I feel like, anybody can change from anything. I truly believe that, I mean, if you want to be married, if you want to have a badass marriage, there's nothing that can't be overcome, in my opinion. But there's also the reality of very hard lines and very hard what am I thinking of? Boundaries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, straight up. Like, we've talked about this, and there's certain things that if you did, I would walk away.
Sure.
Wouldn't even think about it. I mean, it would be hard. It would suck. It would rip my heart out, and it would be difficult, but it's a hard no for me. And you have the same thing. You know what I mean? But on the flip side, it's like if there's been shit in your past and been stuff, number one, realize that you have your own set of shit. You've got your own baggage. You've got your own lies, your own story, your own insecurity. But number two, if that person is making recompense for where they've been or what they've done or whatever hurt you, you got to make a choice to move. You got to make a choice to just keep going. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of it depends on the quality of the relationship. Because I can say that I've had previous relationships where I ended after lots of therapy, lots of trying, and I realized that like there was no integrity, there was no foundation. So all the efforts went into like a hollow hole. And I realized like I can sit and try and forgive this, but the truth is I can't let it go because there's no trust or foundation to fall back on, and I don't believe in the integrity. So I made the choice to leave that relationship. But that's I think you just have to really analyze the whole relationship and see if it's worth even being in.
I agree. Next question. How do you get out of an emotional funk with your significant other?
You want to lead this one?
Yeah. I mean, there's two ways. Like, either you're in a funk and you have a significant other, or you're in a funk with your significant other. I don't know how to really take that, but we could answer both ways.
Yeah.
When I'm in a funk, I just tell Sax. I'm like, hey, I'm having a shitty day. Hey, I really want to freaking burn my entire world to the ground. It has nothing to do with you. I'm good. I just need to fucking go be an asshole and don't take anything personally. And then it's on you to just, okay, go do your thing. Whatever that means. Whatever I have to go do, I'm going to go do. Wherever I have to go, whatever I have to, I'm just going to go handle my shit. I think if you're in an emotional funk with your significant other, you and I have been in plenty of those. It's the exact same process. You've got to communicate. Be like, hey, look, you're pissing me the fuck off. Like, this is driving me insane. Here's how I feel. Whatever. And if you have compassion and connection, then you have to be able to receive that. And I think that's something that you and I struggled with for a while until we started really understanding how we communicate. And this is a huge lesson that we learned in the last couple of months, is just that how we communicate radically differently. And one's not right and one's not wrong, but when I'm saying something, you're hearing something different, and vice versa. And so, like, if you're in an emotional funk with your significant other, learn number one, the very first thing to do, and I think you should do this when you're not in a funk. You should do this just every single day. Practical application of coaching and learning is like, how do I communicate with you? You and I were on like the bullet train, and we just kind of kept flying, and all of a sudden it was like, we have to actually communicate on deep shit, and we didn't know how to do that. Hence the chaos and turmoil, and then all of a sudden we
knew how to communicate deep shit, and just not during chaos.
Right. And so I think knowing how that person communicates and knowing how to communicate with them, you can solve any problem. You know what I mean? But if you're just in a funk, just tell them. I mean, if you tell me, hey, I'm just having a shitty day. You told me the other day, I'm tired. I don't want to do anything. I'm going to go home. I'm just going to sleep, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, cool, whatever. Go do your thing, Yeah.
I think if you're in an emotional funk with your partner, a lot of it too is that after the communication, like, you have to really step into a more proactive space. Like, a game changer for us since we've restarted up the podcast is I am proactively doing things that I know make my relationship more seamless, or the peaks these highs and lows don't happen necessarily as often or as extreme, because I'm seeing, okay, I'm just going to give a little plug. I want to do a whole podcast on this, actually, is where, for you, for instance, like, I know that you need to know you're loved and supported. Like, you're loved and supported. So I proactively show that I love and support you in moments where in the past you used to get frustrated with me. You're like, I need to know that I'm supported. And it's just more of like pat on your back. Like, it's just being your wife, right? I wasn't doing that necessarily to what you needed. So I made these literally little tiny adjustments, and I've seen them help and nourish our relationship out of that funk, just by like being more conscientious of like, how can I better show up? How can I be proactive? You know, you can, like with you, like when you get frustrated, you're very quick to be like, correct. You know, we don't have to have a big blowout. It's just like you're very quick to pivot back to like, you know, being cool-headed or whatever. I don't know, all these words. And it's like these little tiny adjustments go really, really far. But you have to be proactive, and they really require you moving a lot of your pride, because it's stepping into a space of like serving instead of taking. And when you're in a funk, you just want to feel better. You just want to like fill your cup. But you're going to get a better result if you start serving the person that you're trying to connect back with, or that you're in a funk with.
Amen. This is a good one. I feel like we need to talk about this one for a sec.
Okay.
Because it's very, very, very important right now. How do you raise your kids with conservative values in a world like this? Mm-hmm. Do you want to take this, or do you want me to take this? Just to start. I will. Yeah. How about that? Great decision, babe. Look, I've said this many times, and I am adamant about this. I am fucking absolutely adamant about this. If your children are struggling with what they're learning at school versus what they're learning at home, or you're in the space where you're blaming the school system or the education system for why your kid's turning out to be a total dipshit, you have 100% responsibility on this. Period. I don't give a damn what your story is, whether you're a single mommy, a single daddy, if you're married, it doesn't fucking matter, right? The education system is here as part of my kid's life. It's an experience that my kids have at a young age, that they teach them to read and to write and to count and these other things. Like, understanding the role of a parent, like, it is your job to teach them life. It's your job to teach them the morals, whether they're your morals or your family's morals or whatever morals you want to instill, whatever type of, work ethic you want to instill. That is 100% up to the parents. Period. End of story. Like, how do we instill conservative values in a world like this? We fucking lead our kids. We pray over food. We discuss God. We talk about our testimony. We talk about who we are, where we are, what we are, relentlessly. Mm-hmm. Not just like, oh shit, my kid's struggling, I guess I better talk to him about God. We're very, very, very open with our kids about what we are, who we are, what we believe, how we believe it, and why we believe it. Yeah. But more importantly, for me as a dad, me as a father, especially in this day and age with sons and with a daughter, the single most important thing that I can do is show them a dad that prays, show them a dad that honors his wife, show them a husband, show them a father that honors his word, that learns skill sets, that is proactively leading and guiding and building his own dreams. Like, there are a lot of fucking checked out parents that are mad and angry and pissed off because their kids turn out to be fuckheads. And the reality is, it's not a school's job. It's not a church's job. It's not a religion's job to teach your kids morals. It's your job. It's your job to teach your kids what's right, what's wrong, based off of whatever dictation you want.
Yeah.
So if your kid turns out to be a fuckhead, that it's completely on you. It has nothing to do with an education system. It has nothing to do with the government. It has nothing to do with the church or religion or the neighbors or the dog. It's 100% on you. And this is something that I will never waver on. I will never back down from.
Yeah.
Like if you are a parent, it is your fucking job. It's your job to raise that kid. It's your job to teach that kid. It's your job to lead that child of yours. And the second that you step away from that role and you try and have a teacher or an education or a church or a neighbor take the role of leadership and guidance, you fucking failed as a parent.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was raising my kids, even when I was single, I taught my kids very, very early on, like, I owe you nothing and you owe me nothing. We were in this together. And they, like Tyne, for instance, like he was required and he expected to take care of his own laundry, to do his own dishes. Like he knew I was going to discipline him, but at the same time I respected him and he respected me. We had this mutual like agreement, and all of our kids do now. Like they know they're responsible to take care of themselves. They know that there's no one that's coming out to save them, and there's no one that they necessarily owe anything to other than like they need to take care of their side of the street, be responsible and have integrity and be respectful. And it's really great because we have a house full of people who know like how to take care of themselves.
Right.
And they know that there is nobody that's coming to save them in life, and that's I never really thought of it as necessarily conservative values when I was raising kids. I just knew that I wanted to raise independent, self-sufficient, respectful children into those adults, and that requires me to be a disciplinary, and I'm not in a dictator way. The way I discipline is like I teach my children why it's important that they have integrity in what they do and everything, being mindful. I use the word mindful all the time with them. So I want them to be conscious of the impact that they have on the world around them, and they have a responsibility to show up as their best selves, period.
Yeah. I think there's a lot too that is very much, as a side note on this, misconstrued about what's really happening. Just because some purple-haired fucking teacher wants to talk about dicks and vaginas and whatever, that's not the vast majority of teachers, okay?
Right.
I asked my son the other day, who's a junior in high school, I asked him straight up, I'm like, let's talk about this. Like, what do teachers talk about in school? Because he has different teachers, different classes, different subject. And I was asking him, other teachers to talk politics, to try and share their political opinion, to try and talk about, gay, straight, black, white, the whole thing. He's like, not really. He's like, I don't really see any of that. So I was asking him, like, what's the vibe at school and this and that? And look, we're in Utah. We're, we can call us conservative and white and whatever. We are, and that's it. It is what it is. But wherever you are in the country, wherever you are, like, I'd be willing to bet that very, very, very few teachers or educators are really trying to lead your kids astray. You see on what makes headline news, the teacher that shows up in drag that's trying to teach a preschool, about dicks and vaginas. Like, that's a very rare occasion. You know what I'm saying? And if that's your kid's class and you continue to put your kid in that class, you're just a shitty fucking parent. Plain and simple. Done and done.
We have a lot of open conversations too with kids. So if this were to happen, like we have such an open dialogue at home.
My kids would probably laugh at them.
Where we have these conversations of we're not leaning on the school system to raise our children. Right. We are very active parents and that have children that go to school. Yep. And so it's almost nice to have them exposed to a lot of differences.
That's why I kept my kids in public education.
Right.
I didn't go to private schools because sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, just because then it's like with anything, like abstinence with sex, right? All of a sudden they discover sex and they're like, whoa. It's like, I want my kids to be exposed to different points of view, to different things. And I want to teach them and model for them what I believe in my core is being a good fucking human.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Amen. All right. Next question. What makes an intimate and sexy relationship?
Besides the obvious, honestly, one of the most intimate and sexy things I love about our marriage is the playfulness. I feel like we're the most intimate when we're really, really, really playful, because that means we're the most safe, feeling the most safe. We're the most in a lovable state, and that's like my ultimate ultimate like full cup intimacy. 'Cause sex is like, of course, it's intimate and it's sexual, you know, and it's hot and all that. But like the true love connection, that like real, like I think what most people really, really want in their like best friend, partner, buddy, like I want to hang out and wish her at you little face all the time. It's that playfulness.
Mm-hmm.
It's my very favorite.
Yeah, I think that really, really radical open communication and really radical, like, just look, this is your partner. This is your best friend. This is the person that you're fucking. This is the person you're building with. This is the person you're having children with. Like, this should be the person that you tell everything to.
Yeah.
This should be the person that you talk about your deepest, darkest fantasies, your desires, your thoughts, your loves, your passion. You know, I feel like there's such a stigmatism in the life about like, well, this is weird or that's weird or we've been raised this way or raised that way. And so we play so small with our person. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I tell you what I want, period. Like, plain and simple, done and done. We're funny, we're not funny, we're this, we're that, we're whatever, we're cute, we're, you know, all the little words and the whole little thing. But like, at the end of the day, I feel like there's a lot of people that are hiding who they really are and what they really are from the person that they should be giving that to.
Yeah. From
the person that they should be the most open, the most vulnerable, the most honest with. And that's causes so much contention and so much like non-sexiness and non-fun. And I don't know if that's even a word, but like just it's not fun, right?
Yeah.
When you get to like, look, I'm 43 years old. I'm like a kid. I want to be like a kid. You're like a kid. Mm-hmm. Like, we act like juveniles all the time. Well, you got to be, the Bible says when you become an adult, you got to be an adult and put away childish things. Fuck that shit, dude. I want to be 70 years old, like poking your boobs with my freaking walker and my cane. I want to be like smacking your ass and lifting up your old granny moo-moo with like my cane, like trying to poke your butt with my cane. Like, I'm going to be an old fucking pervert like that and be funny and still sing ridiculous songs in the morning while we're drinking coffee and smoking cigars. That's just like how I am. It's like, I think that's the little kid just, it's fun and cute and like connected. You know what I'm saying?
Because awesome sex follows that.
Yeah.
I mean, good times follow that. If you're in your playfulness and you're in your full heart, like all that other good stuff that people identify as intimacy, like it all comes from, this is gospel according to sex, all comes from that original place of just being playful and open.
Mm-hmm. And like the real vulnerability, like the real honesty, you know, when you send me pictures or text messages or, dude, I'm like seriously so wet right now thinking about this or whatever, I'm like, hell yeah, like that, you know what I mean? That's you want to talk about what's sexy, that's sexy, right? Me doing whatever I do with you, the little kid, the thing, the playing, the jovialness, like these are things that we look past. They're so simple. Mm-hmm. They're so fucking simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Couple more. What is the hardest part about being a spouse to a high-capacity entrepreneur? This is for you.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Oh. The hardest thing is probably managing energy. And by managing, I don't mean like I'm trying to control it or it's all up to me. It's more of like some days are really chaotic. And that's not in a negative way. They're just chaotic because there's 10 million things flying in the air, right? And so managing it, it's like I have to just know that there's this ebb and flow and there's massive creativity and there's all this volume of things happening. And some days you show up really buzzing, right? And I just get to like, so let me just put it energetically. So if you're in this ascension mode where things are like going visually.
Creation mode, big mode, energy mode. Like we're building big shit. We're doing all these things. We're risking money. We're investing money. Perfect. We're building our dreams.
Then I know that the best thing that I can do, which has sometimes is the hardest, is that I need to descend. Meaning I need to go really down to grounding. And I even... This is crazy, but it works. I even changed the way I speak to you, the tone, the speed. I even move slower. I have like literally studied this so closely in our marriage, and it might seem woo-woo, but if you're really, really, really in a buzzy, I just like to use the word buzzy state, I will literally start moving slower. I will speak slower. I will approach you slower, and it's like this energetic like shift happens. and we start to balance. But it took me a while to realize the importance of, and it's like no extra effort on me. It's just, I'm conscious. I'm very conscious in this in a relationship, is I descend, which starts to neutralize the energy. And then it's like things just, and then they go smooth. That was a really hard thing. In some
This is new. This is
this is new, which actually I was really good at this before. But what happens is, this is another observation I've had, is if I'm not taking care of myself, even if taking care means because I've been struggling with an autoimmune disorder that's just really, really, really fatigued me. If I'm not taking care of myself and I don't have the bandwidth to, say, approach fully in my relationship, I can't hold that space. Mm-hmm. And I have learned that, if that requires me to eat differently, sleep differently, to best show up in my life, this really doesn't have anything to do with you, to best show up in my life where I feel the best, where I'm thinking the best, then I can show up as a better wife, as a better mother, I feel better as a human being. And so that's been this whole little dance. So I'd say the hardest thing is learning to manage high octane energy, because I would imagine that any really big entrepreneur has this same vibration going on.
We talked about this in I think last episode, or the one kind of our coming back one, where that was a big thing. And this is a huge deal. This is something that I get asked a lot. You get asked a lot. We get asked a lot, because there's a lot of people like that in our space. And especially if you're, imagine being married to somebody and you're both kind of starting out in life, and there isn't the big business, there isn't the big money, there aren't the big risks, there aren't the big investments. You're a different person, and you evolve into this leader, you evolve into the CEO, or whatever it looks like, right?
Sure.
You're different. You're operating different. You're looking different. You're emotionally a different person. Like, I'm not the same person that I was 2, 3, 4 years ago. I kind of had like a reminiscent moment this morning where I found this picture from 2013, and I posted, and I was like, this guy didn't know who the hell he was, right? Could stand up on stage and but he was totally full of shit. Like, I'm not the same person. And so energetically, one of the biggest lessons that Sax and I have learned, speaking from what I'm seeing, is that high level energy isn't bad. It's what keeps me where I am. It's what helps a high level, if you want to talk about entrepreneur, high capacity entrepreneur, CEO, whatever, that's what it takes. It takes the high level, the constant movement, the vision, constantly thinking about solving problems and moving forward, right? And so I'll forget shit. I'll forget to bring this home, or I'll forget to stop at this, or I'll forget to text, or I'll forget to say, hey, you told me you were leaving 20 minutes ago. And I'm like, shit, I got caught up in a meeting, and my bad. And that level of communication and understanding has been, I think, really difficult for us to learn in a way, obviously because of our personalities, because you were high level.
I'm very high
octane
too. I've just and that's what I wanted to say. Huge asterisk. Don't change yourself into something you're not. I have literally just taken the same energy that I had, that I've always had, that I will always have, because I'm a super high go person too, and I've literally just shifted how I use that energy to most effectively. And honestly, it kind of sounds crazy, but I love this better than me being in the high
the producer
go.
You're the one needing to
I'm more used to that, so it's been difficult for me to flip it and channel that differently, but I feel better and more satisfied in this space, if that makes any sense at all. So I want to be very, very, very cautious when giving advice. Don't change yourself into something you're not. It's just take your gifts and maybe use them differently to better serve a new dynamic you're in.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Okay.
You like my fringe boots?
I like your fringe boots. Do you feel like your voice is heard and taken into consideration?
Yes. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the last one. If I am trying to be loud to be heard, I will not be heard.
Right.
I know that with a personality like my husband's, which so I've heard lots of people have spouses similar to my husband, is I am better heard when I speak in a very loving, calm state. That's when you can actually perceive and hear what I'm saying. And I actually get the result that I want, because if I'm trying to like be heard by being loud, you're not hearing me.
No.
Like at all.
Well, and one of the things that we've talked about and learned, not only through process, but like through our coaches and stuff like that, is they're literally, you know, my brain is moving so fast. And I've spent most of my life, this is very good insight for women, ladies, listen, if your man is moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, building big shit, listen, let me try and explain to you his brain really quick. I remember when I was married years and years and years ago, I was going so fast and moving, building business, had 100 employees and all of this other stuff. And my ex-wife was the exact opposite, like just the exact opposite of me. And I remember very vividly one time when we were with one of our therapists saying, like, she was complaining how he'll be on his laptop and I'm trying to talk to him and he's not listening to me, And this therapist said, listen, you literally have to go over, physically shut the laptop, not obviously slam it and fucking listen to me kind of thing.
That won't work.
No, that's bad. But literally grab my face and make eye contact. Because if I don't have eye contact with you, there's a high probability I'm not listening. And this is something like you'll come up to me and you're talking and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And you know I'm not hearing you. And it's not because I'm ignoring you. Again, listen, ladies, it's not because I'm being an asshole. Like it might be 3 p.m. and I'm still in work mode, I'm still in build mode, but I came home or whatever it is. I might have a ton on my plate and it's not a bad thing. My brain is moving and you have to physically come over and get my attention. Like get my eyeballs to look at you, put the phone down, whatever. And that takes a second. But if you come running over, say, get off your fucking phone, I'm trying to talk to you.
Oh, no.
World War 972, right? But there is a way to tap into me because I want to communicate. I want to connect, right? But if I'm in hyper mode, if I'm in go mode, what did you call it?
But you're buzzing.
The buzz. If I'm buzzing, right, which is like
you
phone, I got text, I'm doing things, the whole thing. Like it's very, very, very difficult for me to focus on anything other than what I'm doing right now. That's not bad. And this is something that I want to say to the guys. Like I had a lot of guilt around being a high level, whatever you want to call it, an entrepreneur, moving fast, building big. I had a lot of guilt around that for a lot of years because I continued to hear over and over and over again, you got to slow down, you got to listen more, you got to do all these things, you need to be this different person, and you know, you need to be more organized and you need to be more attentive. And I spent years buying every fucking planner known to man. I had Palm Pilots, I had hard copy things, I had assistants, whatever. And I finally realized, I'm just not organized. And really, I don't want to be. I don't need to be. I have people in my life that will do those things for me. Yeah. I'm going to focus on my skill set. And this is something I think that you and I are learning to dance on, is you know what my skill set is. And my skill set is not those finite details and this and that and the other. And you have two choices. Be pissed off about it. Be mad about it. Ladies, you can ride your guy's ass all day long saying, I just spent 10 minutes talking to you and you didn't listen and you're a dick. Meanwhile, he's literally making a $10 million decision or a decision to move his office that involves hundreds of employees. You can choose to be a dick, or you can choose to go over to him, sit on his lap, pet his face for 2 seconds, tell him something nice, calm him down, bring him out of the buzz so that you can actually get what you want. And that you've become, you were good, but you've become a lot better at that in our dance.
Sure.
In marriage.
And total life hack, I've learned to phrase things I know that you want to protect me and you want to provide for me and you want to give me safety. Like I know that. These are things that you're very proud to give your wife. And so if I phrase things in a way of like, I don't even know how to come up with one right now, but I know that you are working so hard at providing and doing this with the business. And then I interject what my super need. It's called if you've ever worked for a corporation, it's like kind of like a shit sandwich. But you give them something really good, which makes them be like, okay, I'm listening because you're praising me, because you're loving me. And then you tell them your need or whatever that, maybe it's something negative or it's just a need. And then you end it with some praise again. You will be heard.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is. So
And that's
a huge life hack.
I don't know very many people out there. I don't know very many guys that have the ADD, ADHD. There's a lot of dudes that make way more money than me, blah, 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 whatever. But there's a lot. I feel like there's, on the spectrum of like buzz, I'm at like a 10. Whatever.
Maybe a 12.
12? Okay, I'll take a 12. On a spectrum of 0 to 10, I'm at 12. I'm very much an overachiever in life. So I feel like I really understand this well, especially from a man's perspective of like how to get my attention, how to communicate with me, how to not communicate with me.
Yeah.
You know, you run up and grab my cell phone, I will flip the fuck out.
Yeah, you
right?
will.
I don't care if you're naked. I don't care what the fuck you're doing, right? That might be misheard by some people, but that's why I think we're starting to work really well is you're understanding these dynamics. You know what I'm saying? And I'm understanding the dynamics, and you start getting into a place where you really get good at learning these things. All of the things that were at one point in time these huge, almost insurmountable obstacles, like we can't communicate, he's always on his phone, he's always busy, she's always nagging. You hear this shit all the fucking time. And all it takes is a couple little teeny tweaks.
Yeah.
You've got to do a couple things different. I've got to do a couple things different. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh shit, we can operate at a high level and have dogs and kids and lives and houses and ranch and companies and businesses and things and manage it all very well. Manage it all with, your word, grace, and get a lot done.
And I don't know if this is conscious of you or if this is just a byproduct, but the more that I've been instilling and doing these things, your responses have been so much softer, so much kinder. Have you noticed that? I don't know if you're doing it consciously or if it's literally just a byproduct. It's really irrelevant because either way, I like it.
Are you just trying to take credit? Is that what you're trying to do right now?
I'm saying like
I've been so much better, and it's just wearing off on you.
No, if that's what I just said.
Both.
I don't know what it is, but either way, I'm grateful. Because there has been also a big shift in how you have been with me, and maybe I'm asking you the question right now. Like, is that a conscious thing? Because I'd like people to know if you're making a conscious effort to contribute to that, or if that's just literally a byproduct of how I've been showing up. Then that's really, really valid. It's not valid.
It's both because I'm a reactionary creature. Like if you come over and you like slap the phone out of my hand or whatever.
He's like a rattlesnake?
Yeah. I will literally go from 0 to fucking cut your face off in 1 second.
Without question, you are.
and hey, for a lot of my life, I thought that was bad. That's not bad because guess what? At the end of the day, you want to know where that skill set serves me? When some asshole walks into a fucking restaurant and wants to shoot up the place, I literally have 1 second ability to be able to switch from this mode to this mode. So I no longer look at that as a liability. I look at that as an asset. How do I manage that? How do I work with you, right?
Yeah.
So as you learning to show up differently, I'm starting to recognize that. And as I recognize that puts me into a different state. I get to then go into my database and my bank and say, okay, here's what she's asking me for right now. This is what she's looking for. Is what I'm doing right now, like, where does this rank? And this is just how I operate. As a killer, I'm looking at it going, okay, I'm literally, and this is a really great way to explain this, like, I'm looking at the hunt. I'm looking at the deer that I'm getting ready to shoot, right? Are we in survival starving mode, like I have to get this deer right now in order for us to eat? Or are we good right now and I can let that one go because I know there's going to be another one right after it and then we can engage? And that's literally how my brain works. That's how primal my brain is like what's going on right now? You have a need, you need connection, you need communication, we have to discuss something that has to do with the family or whatever, is what I'm doing right now. And what I've learned is to communicate that to you. Instead of flipping and going from 0 to rattlesnake, I say, listen, what I'm doing right now is very important. I have to finish this. And I've said this to you, right, more and more and more recently, like, give me a minute. I need to finish this. I promise you, give me 60 seconds and I'll be done. Or 90 seconds and I'll be done, right?
Yeah.
The other night, like, perfect example is the other night, Sunday night. You know, getting the newsletter. I was writing the newsletter. I was in the flow. And literally, I swear to God, guys, this is exactly how it works. I'll tell you, this is real world, okay? We had been talking about some naughty stuff all week, and it was like time for the naughty stuff, and Sax was ready for the naughty stuff.
It's not naughty.
Well, yeah, you were just talking about doing some fun, sexy stuff. And I'm out on the back deck, I'm smoking a cigar, and I'm vibing on my newsletter, I'm writing my newsletter, and I get a picture on my phone of you naked with some sex toys, and I'm just like, yes. But instantly, and this is real world, like this is just literally happened 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I instantly went into panic mode because I was like, fuck. If I don't come up right now, she's going to be pissed. She's going to go to sleep, and then it's going to cause problems because I'm going to come up and I'm going to want to fuck, and then she's not going to want to, and she's going to be like, I told you should have come up, and I sent you a picture, which that has happened before. That was us, 6 months ago.
The last 6
right?
months. Yeah.
Okay. And so I very clearly communicated. I said, babe, I'm finishing up my newsletter. I need like 10 minutes to finish. Now, if I knew that I needed an hour, I would have told you an hour, but I knew that I could be done in 10 minutes, right? And you came down and, you were pushing the agenda a little bit, but I knew that, like, listen, communicate with her, tell her what's going on, and you had to respond to that. I mean, you were geared up, ready to go.
I was ready to roll.
You were like,
I had lingerie on.
Lingerie,
ready to roll.
toys in hand, like, let's go, let's boogie. But I was in, like, vicious creation mode. And I was not leaving creation mode. Yeah. And so I had to step back and look at it. And normally, really, that would have sent us off.
Not normally.
No,
I think only when we were in a funk, that would have sent us off. Normally, it's not.
We would be known to have that become, I would have taken that personally. I would have gotten butt sore because you would have said something or be like, well, I'm just going to go to bed. And I would have, like, whatever. And I think we've evolved to that space where, like, we now have the respect of, I don't know if respect's the right word, but, like, I can say, hey, 10 minutes, and you have...
And how did I respond when you said that, when I came down?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where we're evolving to that. Yeah. But it's real. It's not like, oh, fuck. I'm standing here naked. You should just want to drop everything and fuck me. It's like, no, I'm standing here naked. I'm trying to seduce you. You're giving me honest feedback. You're telling me exactly where you are. I get that. I appreciate that. I respect that. Now I want to make sure that you stay true to your word. Yeah. Obviously, I'm totally down for the fucking. I'm totally down for the Sunday night festivities, but I'm also in that creation mode.
And I have respect for the creation, for the business, for my entrepreneurial husband to know.
Which is why you didn't go up and pout or say, screw you, I'm going to bed.
Hung out with myself for a
yourself.
second. I was not bored. I was just fine. Yeah, but it's because I have respect for. It's the same thing when he's in writing mode. I know if he's flowing and he's writing, I just wait until he's done because I wouldn't want to. It's like cutting off a flow state. Like, go, whatever, I'm good.
Well, and it took us really learning that and learning that dance and learning that connection because for a while there it was problematic. You know what I mean? When I'm in that space, like literally, that's the ultimate level of creation for me. Yep. Yeah. I think that's a good answer.
We saw it.
Okay, last question. What's your favorite thing about one another? First thing that comes to your top of your mind. Go.
That you're sweet. That was the first thing that came to my mind. Believe it or not, you're not that
Believe it or not.
You know you're sweet. But I don't know that a lot of people know you're sweet. You're a very sweet person and you have a very, really big heart. And that's why you get so riled up around things. And I think either people see that or they completely don't see that in you. And I love, like, you have an intensity in your love that I have not really experienced in a lot of other people. Like, I have that intensity in my heart. Like, I get, big in that, but you get riled up with injustices for people you love, or when people, like, you really love people and you really love your country and you really love your family and you really love those that really want to make a big impact on the world. And that's like your gift. And sometimes it comes out really intense, but you're insanely sweet and loving.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The first thing that came to my mind is like you're the little kid. I love the little kid, and unless you live with Saxony, which you don't really know what I'm talking about. But she just has the little, honestly, that little voice, like when she's like, it's so cute, and she says that about videos or dogs or, I mean, anything,
babies.
Right? She'll, like, in the morning when we're playing with the dogs or whatever, and she's talking like that, or she'll come up to me and like say that, and like, you're so cute, and like plays with my hair or something like that. Little face. That right there. That's like one of my favorite things. It's literally one of my favorite things. It doesn't matter where I'm at. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Like that like brings me back to like earth. That brings me back to like normal. That brings me back to, I don't know.
Because that is our true self.
Yeah.
Our playful little inner child is it's like the truest essence of yourself. Oh.
Yeah.
Find me a person that's in a lot of joy in their life, and you will find them very sweetly in their inner child.
True.
It's just, they
True
just go
story.
so hand in hand.
All right, that's it. Guys, thanks for your questions. Great job, babe.
That's all, folks. That was good.
We did
I
good.
liked today.
Those were good questions.
Those were good.
Good conversation.
I should really bring it next time.
Yeah, I like the Q&A episodes. These are fun. We should do more of them.
Maybe we'll do like one that gives them a whole day to respond. This was like a last minute. This was a quickie.
Yeah.
We'll do a whole day, and then we'll really
We'll get tons of them.
push for some good questions.
You guys are awesome. Thanks for your questions. We love you. Thanks for tuning in. If you got some value or you know somebody that needs to hear something that we talked about today, feel free to share. And don't forget to remind Saxony in the comments that she was trolled earlier on that question. All right. Love you guys. See you. Bye.
Bye.